Hey everybody, we're live, and I apologize for the delays, but it's been that kind of day. Happy New Year. Actually, it's been that kind of week because we here I am in suburban Atlanta, Georgia, and this entire region, in fact, most of the United States has been hit by something that people call the big chill, right? And you may have seen that map where the United States is divided up in these different regions based on how they react to the cold. Like, for example, this area that we're in, the South, is you got to be blanking kidding me. And then another one is, man, it's really freaking cold up here. And then California is LOL because it's so warm. But we've had what we thought was a water leak. It turned out not to be severe at all. Anyway, I don't want to belabor with something that could spill in over into an hour long explanation. But dealing with that caused me to shift the time here. So I apologize and thanks for sticking with me. I'm going to start off by reading straight out. This is from Oakland News Now, and what this is for those of you who are not familiar with this, uh, Oakland Mayor-Elect Sheng Thao, there's a photograph, is the focus of not one, not two, but three active public ethics commission cases. Three. And hence the summary. Now, of the three, two of them stem directly from her run for mayor of Oakland. As Oakland prepares for the 2023 new year, Sheng Thao, the former District 4 Oakland City Council member, is now Oakland Mayor-Elect Thao by virtue of the fact that she bested her fellow council colleague Loren Taylor in the closest and most controversial election in Oakland mayoral history, just 677 votes. But on the way to a razor-thin win, Sheng Thao managed to become the focus of not one, but three active Oakland Public Ethics Commission cases, a first in Oakland's history. The news of the existence of the active Oakland Public Ethics Commission cases comes from the Oakland City Attorney's Office posting of a public records request made by an unnamed person or group. They are listed in this way from the city, and this is what the Public Ethics Commission investigator Simon Russell wrote in black from the City of Oakland's document online. This PRR, or public records request, is in response to a verbal request I received via telephone for a list of open Public Ethics Commission matters, complaints, and or cases at any stage other than closed, in which Sheng Thao is named as a respondent. The attached list was generated by searching the respondents column on the enforcement complaint database for Thao. Complaints or cases with a status of closed were not included. Note that preliminary review, quote unquote, means that a complaint has been received, but enforcement has not yet been determined whether or not to open an investigation. Respondents, plural, on the complaint database means that a person or entity who has been named in a complaint as potentially responsible for a violation of the law. For complaints alleging a violation of the Campaign Reform Act by a campaign committee, we usually add the treasurer and controlling candidate, if any, to the respondents column, since they're usually jointly liable for any violations committed by their committee and therefore should be notified that we received a complaint against their committee. We enter all formal complaints received onto this database. Anyone can file a formal complaint that they did anything. Well, anyone can file a formal complaint with our office. Just because someone is listed as a respondent here does not necessarily mean they did anything wrong. Only the full commission can determine that a violation of the law occurred through a vote in one of its public meetings. Per regular Public Ethics Commission practice in response to verbal record requests, we are creating a next request entry for this public records request and uploading the files there. That's from Simon Russell, the enforcement chief for the Oakland Public Ethics Commission. Now, these are the three cases. The first one is an investigation status that is marked 22-18. 22-18. Welcome, by the way. Sheng Thao. The second one is marked preliminary review, and that's 22-14. Sheng Thao, semicolon, Sheng Thao for Mayor 2022, Julie Caskey. The third one is preliminary review 22-12. CM Sheng Thao, which means Councilmember Sheng Thao. So what are the case specifics regarding Sheng Thao? The question is, what are the case specifics regarding Sheng Thao, now Oakland Mayor-Elect? A call to Mr. Russell reveals the expected response that the specifics of each matter are confidential. But given Zenny 60 Media's interview with now former Sheng Thao City Council staffer Leanna Powell, and where the beleaguered office do all aid took over an hour and a half explaining how Thao and her charges allegedly bullied her and intimidated her into helping them in Thao's campaign for mayor of Oakland, and the Public Ethics Commission letter published at oaklandnewsnowblog.com, the investigation, quote unquote, concerns Ms. Powell's complaint. And I have the link to the interview. Regarding the case with the name, quote, Julie Caskey, I do not have details from any source at this time, but Julie Caskey was Thao's campaign manager. And the third case is marked referring to Thao's time as Oakland council member. I don't have any details on that either. Overall, the Public Ethics Commission is looking at what seems to be a clear violation of Oakland election law, which, to summarize, states as follows. Number one, do not engage in political activity while on duty, in uniform, or in a city-owned building. City officials and employees may participate in political activities or campaigns while off duty and on their personal time. 2, do not use city resources for any campaign-related activity. City resources cannot be used to campaign for or against the candidates and ballot measures once the measure is qualified for the ballot. 3, do not directly or indirectly solicit campaign contributions from other city officials or employees. This includes persons on city employment lists, unless the request is made as part of a solicitation to a significant segment of the public that happens to include Oakland officials or employees. And then it continues here beyond that. Overall, the Public Ethics Commission cases are ongoing without a specific end date. Now, a number of people have asked me what this means from a standpoint of, criminal prosecution, and I don't know the answer to that. And candidly, the feedback I've gotten from some people who have better knowledge of this than I do is the question is, will this rise to the level of the Fair Political Practices Commission, and what will they do? And then the question is, could this rise as high as the California Attorney General Rob Bonta, and what will he do? And that all depends on what the Ethics Commission finds. My concern is how the city of Oakland looks and how this is really a test for Mayor-Elect Thao, because she comes in quite literally with a sort of Damocles over her head. And there are a number of ways she can respond to it. Right now, the only thing she really can do from an outsider standpoint is let the Public Ethics Commission process play out and deal with the aftermath. That's what she can do right now. Her ability to mitigate the problem, that door closed on her during the time that Leanna Powell left the office, in the first months before this became a public issue. Rather than Sheng allowing Leanna to sort of hang out there as a disgruntled employee, Sheng should have immediately worked to negotiate a kind of a settlement with Leanna, but she didn't do that. And her charges, most notably Brandon Harami, who may be watching right now, took specific, dramatic, and I was about to say, but I don't know if it's entirely illegal. Some of it is, some of it allegedly appears to be actions against her, and including using a number of social media means to harass her. And he did. Now the question is, if you say, hey, that's a free speech issue, well, first, he didn't make it a classic free speech issue because he was using bots. He was using, and I think that's too kind a word, they weren't bots. He was simply using Twitter accounts that have other names other than his own. That really technically isn't a bot. You can make it behave in a bot fashion, but on its own, it's not a bot. And Brandon then also was alleged to have done all of this on city time. In other words, using city time and money toward a campaign-related objective. So how that plays out may have something to do with the Julie Caskey case. I don't know. That's pure speculation on my part. But my point is, rather than allow that to go on, Sheng should have stepped in, stopped it, and worked to mitigate some kind of settlement with Leanna rather than allow her to sort of hang out there as the disgruntled employee. But Sheng didn't do that. And it gave everybody a clear window regarding how Sheng Thao is going to manage her mayor's office in the city of Oakland. And it's not a good look preliminarily. There's time to get things together. There's time to bring in the right people. Rumors were that Mayor Kesha Smith, the Stockton city manager, was going to come over and be her city administrator. That's not happening. There are other rumors that Dan Siegel, the famed civil rights attorney in Oakland, was going to come over and be her city administrator. But that's not happening. It's clear that she will have some management team in place, but she has to. But it's also clear that she spent most of her public time, if not arguably all of it, her visible public time, burnishing her own credentials and story, which are worth celebrating, but seem to be done in complete disregard for the problems at hand with the Ethics Commission, let alone the need to show the public that what she says is true, that she intends to bring everybody together. Having these Ethics Commission investigations, regardless of where they go, out there and active now is a clear sign that Sheng Thao has not cleared up the significant divisions between herself and others in the city of Oakland. That is clear and obvious. It is also clear and obvious that she didn't do anything to solve that problem. Now it's a bigger problem, and no one knows exactly what direction it may take. I don't. So that's where we are right now. If you have any other questions, put them in the comment section and I'll get to them. And I want to clear up some little things here and there that I think are extremely important, though. It was alleged by one person who claims to be whatever they claim to be, that this story was amplified, that was the term used, by me while working for rival candidate Ignacio de la Fuente. First of all, not true, because it's a total lie. Second, and that's who did that. That was Oakland Side, and I invited the Oakland Side reporter and his editor to come on my live stream show and have an open discussion. They did not respond. They have never responded to my invitations to have an open discussion. They like to stay in the background and act like they are objective and on high and all this, when in reality their behavior is absolutely ridiculous. There's no other way to describe it. And unnecessarily self-important at a time when public knowledge of what's happening with respect to the mayor's race should be shared across all media organizations and talked about. For example, Oakland Side has had not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 council members at once at its October 28, 2021 fundraiser. A fundraiser no one publicly knew about until yours truly posted a blog about it, an event that was produced by my friend John Bliss, who likes to raise money for Oakland nonprofits. That's precisely what he was doing. Why? Because supposedly Oakland Side was running out of money. And so it opens the question, did those council members get money from their discretionary accounts and give them the Oakland Side as a quid pro quo? In other words, giving it to them in the promise of good coverage. If you look at the coverage they got versus, for example, Seneca Scott or Derek Johnson or Ignacio de la Fuente, it's quite clear that Oakland Side favors politicians that give them money. And I say that pointedly because of that event. Oakland Side has had ample opportunity to step forward and reject that those elected officials gave them money. But Loren Taylor told me he did and referred to a June 21st, 2021 fundraising event for Oakland Side, saying that he paid some sort of entry fee, but he doesn't remember anything else. He said he was fuzzy on the details. But he paid something, and he admitted it in text. I have the text, okay? And he's not hiding from it. But Oakland Side hides from it. So you can't sit back there and take, if you will, shots at me and think that I'm not going to take shots back, because there's a lot of information out there about how Oakland Side really does business, and it needs to stop trying to tar and feather a black media person who's quite capable of tarring and feathering them, because it doesn't, in the end of the day, do the public any good. Well, actually, some people think it does, because a lot of people were actually glad that I pointed the finger at Oakland Side because they knew something was going on. Okay? They did. So, but what would have been great was for all of us to get together on my live stream and not just talked about that situation, but the entire mayor's race and everything else. But Oakland Side, even in that, has a problem where it is compromised, because it is a 501c3 organization. IRS law says specifically that 501c3 publications are not to write partisan political posts. Oakland Side does that on a frighteningly regular basis, considering its status as a 501c3. It could be fined or have its status yanked away from it. Dangerous. Very dangerous. So, bottom line, getting back to me, what the De La Fuente campaign asked, I should say more clearly, friends, because I've known Ignacio for a long time. I had already endorsed him several months before. They said, can we post are commercials on your websites. Like, for example, although it's not here now, Oakland News Now, blog.com, as well as our other sites like Zenny62blog.com, OaklandNewsOnline.com, and so on. And the answer was yes. They appeared up here in this area where breaking news is. I placed them there. We have a lot of online real estate that, as you can see, companies can use to broadcast news about their products and initiatives. Not only that, I opened the invitation up to every mayoral candidate. Said, hey, look, you want to get in on this? Didn't get a response. All right. Didn't get a response. And not only that, the other truism is that Derek Sue, Manisha Carter, and Seneca Scott were all signed up as vloggers for Zenny62 Media, which means they could put out their information anytime they wanted to. And yes, we split ad revenue with them. In Derek Sue's case, that was for 3 years. They posted anytime they wanted to. Sometimes they teamed up. What could be done was wide open. They used the platform, and in particular, Derek did magnificently to broadcast the fact that he was running for mayor of Oakland. That's what Derek Sue did. So I have, in total, opened up the platforms of Zenny62 Media to Oakland elected officials at various levels of popularity. It didn't matter. Just whoever wanted to come on and vlog. And I'd even train them. Okay? Because people need help getting out their message through digital media. People need help getting out their message through digital media. Zenny62 Media is not a nonprofit. We are a for-profit corporation, a C Corp. So now I can close that and go into the most important matter of all of this. And that's this horrible look that Sheng Thao has, that when you consider the Public Ethics Commission, when you consider the timestamp issue with the City of Oakland City Clerk's office, and when you consider other investigations that may be out there that are closed, and I understand there are quite a few of them, overall it adds up to, well, what I had said about Sheng last year. I said she had the look of Tracy Flick, the character played by Reese Witherspoon in the movie Election, a character that wanted to win almost at all costs. All right. Deborah asks, and Deborah, I apologize for, the shifting. Why is the new mayor under so many investigations? She should step down. No credibility. Deborah, it's as to why she's under so many, it's because at just the very basis of it, she did something that upset someone. She did something that upset someone. Now, the only investigation I know of that is at the level of investigation happens to involve Sheng Thao, because I got a copy of the letter, published it. And not only that, Seneca Scott posted it on Twitter. He got it somehow ahead of me, and as did a couple of other people. Whatever. It was out there. So now we know that among the investigations, or among the cases, I should say, the one active investigation that is among the cases, the others are pending and in review status. But the one that's active directly concerns how Sheng Thao treated Leanna Powell. And if you saw my almost 2-hour conversation with her, you can't help but come away angry if you are a person who has a heart. And what was done to her should not have been done to anybody. And at a time when I would think we're championing the cause of African American women in the United States, well, it wouldn't be African American if that were not the case, right? One would think that if Sheng really cared about Oakland, she would grab this brass wing moment to show she really cared about a Black woman who worked for her, had a misunderstanding with, and needed financial help, right? That's an easy home run to hit, one would think. But Sheng didn't hit that home run. And it speaks to what might be, and I think is a kind of a developed campaign meanness. She wanted to win so bad that anybody that wasn't directly with her on her path became the enemy as she saw it. Sheng wasn't always that way. I have been acquainted with Sheng for 8 years. There's nothing wrong with ambition done right. But ambition done wrong leads to what we see today. 3 active cases, and of them, 1 that has risen to the level of investigation. And that's where we're at, Deborah. So, in terms of stepping down, I don't think Sheng should step down on her own. Because her stepping down isn't going to cause these cases to close. They will still be active. So she might as well simply be mayor-elect and then mayor. And let the chips fall where they may, but deal with them appropriately. Okay, that's the only option she has right now that I'm aware of, at least. That's it. But as to why so many investigations, well, you have to take the simple route. Somebody was pissed off by her and decided to take action. And again, I am now 60 years old. I have been involved in Oakland politics in some form, going all the way back to when I was helping my mom at the Black Filmmakers Hall of Fame, which really was a political event, in 1975. I was by my mother's side when then at Skyline High School when Lionel Wilson was running to become Oakland's first Black mayor. In all of the years, Elihu Harris, when he was elected, and then when Elihu and Larry Reed offered me the job of being Elihu's economic advisor, I have never, ever seen a situation where a mayor-elect was under some kind of scrutiny until now. Now, you could say we didn't have the Ethics Commission then, but we've had the Ethics Commission now active for some years, okay? Some years. So Mayor Schaaf did not go into re-election with active Public Ethics Commission cases. No, I'm not saying that none was ever filed against her. I'm certain there were. But having one filed and then made into a case doesn't mean it's going to rise to the level of an investigation. In Sheng's situation, one has. And apparently the one that has, Leanna Powell, has ties to the other one that's in review process involving Ms. Caskey. And I say that, you say, how do you know, Zay? I'm only saying that because Ms. Caskey is the campaign manager. And Leanna Powell mentioned going over to her house in my interview with her. A lot of storylines in there that make this a rather complicated go in terms of looking for what was done wrong. I'm not saying something can't be found. Quite the contrary. I mean, complicated in that there may be other actions that add up to a rather significant list of improprieties that were done. That is simply a hypothesis. All right. And so Deborah says Oakland voters deserve leaders that are honest and transparent. I 100% agree. Oakland voters also deserve news that's honest and transparent. And what we have now is we have these ad hominem attack organizations. And we have still a situation where news is overwhelmingly white. And there is a division between black news and white news in Oakland. And no one is being helped in the way they should be as news organizations by allowing it to exist. I'm pointing it out. But it doesn't matter if you talk about the organization I mentioned or other organizations, but I don't want to get off on that. And then we have elected officials who are coming in now, and they're young. Perhaps the youngest, on average, group we've ever had in our history. How will they solve problems? I remember when Janani Rachmandran was the focus of this claim that her campaign manager turned out not to be, was some sort of Communist Party member or sympathizer. And what I was told was he wasn't that, even though initially he was, but Janani jettisoned him. And just reading between the lines, to me, it looked like they had a personal relationship that clouded their professional direction. That's what it looked like. But she didn't want to talk about it. And I simply said to her, you know what? Great leaders face their news head on, deal with it, and broom it. You don't let it sit there and fester. Janani's done that, but fortunately in her case it faded away, and Sheng has done that. And arguably Nikki has done that. Nikki Fortunato Bass. But fortunately had, and I have to say this about my friend Harold Lowe, not the strongest candidate, came in late and underfunded, even went through his campaign manager. Apparently they had some sort of disagreement. I don't know the specifics there. And she won. But overall, we're not getting seasoned leadership. And we don't have a kind of, legends at the table. Past Oakland officials. We should have this. Past Oakland officials who served as mayor. Libby Schaff over here. Elihu Harris there. Gene Kwan here, right? Representatives of the late Ron Dellums over here. Okay. Robert Bob over here. It's talking about city managers. People who can sit at this chamber and really provide a sounding board for the leaders in private to really make sure they're making the right decisions. We really should have that as a reflection of the deep, deep, deep history, professional history that Oakland has produced since it was established this form of government so many decades ago. There are enough people who have went to the rodeo and gotten the prize. and they're alive to talk about it. Dick Spees is still with us in his 90s. And go on and on and on. You don't waste legends. Oakland wastes the talent of its legends. The current officials act like the previous officials don't matter unless they need an endorsement from them. And that's it. So we need that kind of structure to teach these kids something. Because they are, by and large, kids. We have kids running the city now. And as a person who wanted to run economic development in his 30s, hey, I applaud that. But I also applaud knowing what you don't know. Yeah, we deserve better. Anyway, I look forward to your comments and questions. And as more information comes down, I will share it. Please subscribe to Zinni62 on YouTube and bookmark OaklandNewsNowBlog.com. And hey, Zinni62blog.com, which is my YouTube blog platform that's been reimagined. And OaklandNewsOnline.com, my blog more focused on Oakland than is OaklandNewsNowBlog.com, which is a full-on aggregator. All right. Live long and prosper. For those of you who are Star Trek fans like me. Thank you. That ends this broadcast. And thank you, Deborah Hudson. Much appreciated I appreciate you very much for keeping me on point and making sure we get on with this thing.